Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Want to know how to judge whether the advisor you're getting ready to work with has expertise in the field of retirement planning? Well, stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Judgment, an 8-letter word used rarely in the financial world, which is all the more reason today on the Worry-Free Retirement, I've decided to take a deep dive on how to better judge who to trust with your money and how to know if the person you're getting ready to trust understands this thing we call retirement. But before we get started judging the character of the advisor you might decide to work with, let me introduce two folks in the Worry-Free Studios who help judge the production quality of this show each and every week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, and Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And today I'm going to share with you how to judge the knowledge, experience, and more importantly, the character of the person you will trust, not just when you retire, but trust all the way until the day you die. So to set the stage, let's imagine this scenario. All your working life, you've trusted two institutions. The bank, collecting your paycheck every other week by you direct depositing your money with them. And secondly, the deposit you make every other week into your 401k plan. Both of these institutions making money on your money while you're over there slaving away at your employer. Now, all of this slaving and saving money is in hopes that on some magical day, you can retire and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But there's a problem. How and when are you to know when you can confidently spend and enjoy your life savings without the fear of one day running out of money? And given the fact that retirement is a complicated and very long-term proposition, who are you now going to trust with that life savings? The bank? The custodian that's been holding on to your 401k? Maybe an advisor you just met on the internet, or who just bought you a free steak dinner. Seriously? No, what I'm talking about is not just rolling over your 401k to the best advisor with the best sales pitch. What I'm talking about is how to judge the expertise and the character of the advisor in whom you trust with your money. So stay tuned as I share with you the secret sauce behind being worry-free and how to judge who is in the best position to help you with your money, not just when you retire, but long into retirement. I'm Tony Walker. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back. With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen.
And now, back to the Worry-Free Retirement with your host, Tony Walker.
Last week, my entire staff from Tony Walker Financial and Worry-Free Productions met at our annual staff retreat to discuss 2022 and how we can better serve our clients in the year 2023. One of the exercises I asked all the staff to do prior to our meeting was to watch a 90-minute interview with famed investor Charlie Munger. Munger, who as of the date of this recording is still alive and well at age 99, is best known for his wise and sage advice on investing and as the business partner of world-famous investor Warren Buffett. The response from my staff as to some of his advice came down to this. The man is a great judge of character and of businesses, and one thing he has learned over time is not to try to predict the future. In fact, what I thought we might do is a quick Zoom call with our newest hire, Miss Juanita Jackson, out of our Bowling Green office, to share her thoughts not only on the recent staff retreat, but what she sees in terms of our attention to detail at Tony Walker Financial. So good morning, Juanita.
Good morning, Tony.
All right, Juanita, tell us briefly your background prior to joining Tony Walker Financial.
Prior to joining Tony Walker Financial's team, I worked in commercial and ag lending and then in mortgage lending.
So you've been in the money business quite a while. How important is it that people feel they can trust the person who is handling their money?
It's very important. On the lending side, we are spending a lot of time evaluating the trustworthiness of the borrower, but we sit in the other seat where families need to understand our integrity and that they can trust our processes.
Oh, well said. Now, you're new to Kentucky, new to Tony Walker Financial, but you made a comment the other day that you're already hearing a lot about us when you mention to people that you work for Tony Walker Financial. So what is a common reaction you get from people?
Yes, it's surprising because I am new to Kentucky. I was not familiar, but most people are. They've seen you on TV. They've heard you talk about retirement planning, and even I've had people reference your faith.
That's good to know. All right, our planning meeting last week, what was your biggest takeaway from that meeting?
The biggest takeaway was that it was not all about the numbers and how many customers we serve, but the quality with which we serve them and how we can improve our processes and the things that we do to improve the client experience.
Oh, well said, Juanita. Well, Juanita, I just appreciate your work so much. And thank you for all the attention to detail that you carry out there with Shannon Ross and Lisa Potter in the Schwab department.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Have a good one.
You too.
So here's the point. When seeking advice from any advisor, yes, even a little man in a sweater vest, in the end, it always comes down to trust. But there's a huge problem when seeking advice from the financial world. They want you to believe that they have all the facts instead of admitting that their advice for your future is always based on opinion. Take, for example, two common recommendations by the financial world that they want you to believe as fact. The first one, this notion that everyone should delay taking Social Security as long as possible. And the second command that they give us is that everyone, no matter what the circumstances, should be maxing out, which means putting in the maximum into those tax-infested 401k plans. So let's take a look at how my experience in working with situations like this comes to bear and the judgment I use in helping people make such decisions and how much of this is based on opinion. So this Social Security notion, putting it off till age 70 sounds reasonable because the longer you delay your Social Security, it's going to earn 8% a year. Plus, obviously, if let's say you wait till age 70, the amount of money you're going to draw is very, very large. However, since we don't know when you're going to die, this becomes problematic. So let's look at two different examples. We have person one who's 62 and then a couple age 65, okay? Next, we have that person one is single. This is very important because remember, with Social Security, when you pass away, your Social Security ends, unless you're going to see in just a second. So with the single person, that's already coming to mind because, they wait to take it and then die, there is no Social Security. Whereas a married couple, it gets a little different. Let's keep going, Derek. Now, the single person has told me that, Tony, I've had some health issues. Maybe the family doesn't have a long life expectancy. So this is weighing heavy on their mind that they may not live a long time and therefore they don't want to delay taking Social Security. Whereas the married couple in this example, both are in good health and maybe both parents have lived a long time. So there's a good chance one of them could live a long time. Next, the first person has about $150,000 in the 401k. Not bad. But look at this. The married couple has over $500,000. Next. There's only about $25,000 in savings for this person, whereas the married couple, again, has quite a bit of money in savings. Finally, person one says, hey, Tony, I'm a homebody. I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of money. I'd like to retire. Again, when should I take Social Security? Whereas the married couple wants to do a whole lot of traveling. They're kind of into the live well, die broke mantra, want to spend money while they can. And, of course, if this person dies, the breadwinner, he wants to make sure that his wife gets the maximum Social Security. So those are the facts. These are facts, folks. The problem is we don't know how long they're going to live, but I still have to base my assumptions and my opinions on facts. So person number one, would I recommend they delay Social Security? Probably not. I would probably recommend this person take it at age 62, as soon as they could get it. Now over here at person number two, I'm probably going to suggest they delay it. Why would that be? Because we can spend a lot of this money now, get rid of that tax tumor between now and 70, let this Social Security keep growing at 8%. And here's the advantage by doing so. Not only is there fewer taxes on that Social Security than there would be their IRA, but if this person dies first, the husband, it's going to leave a larger survivor benefit to his spouse. So you can see already it takes a great deal of judgment to help people make wise decisions like this. Let's go to the second scenario. And now this came out, by the way, folks, when they were peddling the concept in 1978 of doing away with pensions and starting these 401k plans. The notion back then, tax brackets were pretty high, is, hey, defer all this money, get it pre-tax, because one day you'll be in this real low tax bracket. You'll save all kinds of money on taxes. And as we're seeing as we record this show in 2023 with the tax brackets as low as some that I've ever seen them, this has not panned out to be a good idea. So just to blindly say max out your 401k is not a very accurate statement. Let's take a look at this. Person one, this is a couple, age 59. Person two is a couple, age 64. Let's keep going, Derek. Both of these are married, but look at the salaries. Let's stop right here. Person one makes $65,000 a year. Person two makes $250,000 a year. Let's keep going. Person one's spouse works part-time making $20,000 a year. Person number two, the wife decided to stay at home. She's going to work from home full-time. She's not earning any income currently. Look at this. Person one has $250,000 in the 401k, very little in the 401k, and we're going to see why. Go to the next screen, Derek. There you go. This person who's now working is previously divorced, been remarried. Obviously, the divorce maybe didn't go too well. They just don't have a lot in savings, whereas also person A has a small pension. Let's keep going. Person one doesn't have a lot in savings. Person two as well doesn't have much in savings, needs to save for retirement. Notice person one also has some debt, credit card debt with very high interest, not good. Very little debt on person two. So person two sizing this up with this large income, realizes they're kind of starting from scratch, works in a position where they can continue to work a long time. Age 70, they want to retire. Person one may be over there going, look, I don't want to work till age 70. I want to get out of here at 62 or 63 or whatever. So what's the situation here? Which of these two couples should probably max out their 401k plan? Well, let's start with person two. Person two has very little savings. $250,000 puts them in a fairly high tax bracket. So more than likely, I'm going to suggest they max out or put as much money as they can in their 401k plan. Number one, they need to save it. And also, two, in the next 5 or 6 years, probably still not going to have a ton of money that's going to be subject to that tax tumor. So in this case, probably yes, max out the 401k on a pre-tax basis makes sense. Now, person one, as we come over here, maybe wants to retire 62, 63, already has a nice 401k of $250,000. The problem is that darn credit card debt. I mean, why would you be trying to invest in a risky 401k plan, possibly lose some money, and maybe you got 12 or 13% credit card debt over here just eating your lunch? My suggestion on this client, because they're in a very low tax bracket now, only invest up to the match of the 401k. Do not max it out in this case. Take those monies instead, pay the tax now, and attack that credit card debt so you can retire at 65 or maybe even earlier. So here's the bottom line, folks. Do you want somebody that's been doing this over 38 years, met with over 15,000 people, has personally overseen more than 5,000 written game plans? Well, I would think at least you'd want a second opinion before you just blindly go throwing your money somewhere. So why don't you do this right now? If you're interested in finding out more about Tony Walker Financial, go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started, or if you like, just simply call the number on your screen and we'll arrange a time to talk by phone absolutely free. All right, when we come back, more on this whole idea of judgment, and we're actually going to go back to my wife's uncle who is in the military. Some good stuff coming your way to explain why judgment is the key to a worry-free retirement. Stay tuned, I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Hi, I'm Lisa Allerkamp. I oversee the income planning here at Tony Walker Financial. I'd like to take a minute to remind you of the importance of planning for the loss of income at the death of a spouse. This can be the loss of pension or the loss of one spouse's Social Security benefit, or a combination of both pension and Social Security benefit. This is one reason we take a very conservative approach in our income planning. We use very conservative numbers, and we don't account for growth on wages. We take into consideration this eventual loss of income so our clients aren't faced with an unexpected income loss. If you have questions or if we can help you with your financial planning, please give us a call at 1-877-499-9255. Thank you.
Looking to roll over your 401k? Then log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and learn just how easy it is to roll over and safeguard your 401k. Do it today. In keeping with our theme and following after those with good judgment, our Live Well, Die Broke moment honors the life of a well-known minister in the Bowling Green, Kentucky community, someone who assisted me with a documentary years ago called Say Goodbye to Granddad's Retirement, Mr. Jim Britt. Of this idea of following after others, Mr. Britt told me a story that goes something like this. It was a rural road in Vermont that had a sign on the side of the road leading up to the side road that looked very rough. The sign said, "Choose your ruts carefully, you'll be in them for the next 20 miles. In other words, I think what Reverend Britt was saying is that the choices we make now can have a lasting effect on our tomorrows. Okay, let's get back to our topic of judgment and following the lead of others who we hope have more wisdom than we do. And I wanted to feature this particular book, a book called We Were Soldiers Once and Young, a book that later would become a blockbuster movie featuring actor Mel Gibson. And this book dealt with the first major offensive of the Vietnam War that took place on November 14th, 1965. It was an American offensive led by, of all people, my wife's uncle, then Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore, as he led the 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry Regiment into the Ia Drang Valley in an open field called LZ X-Ray. Outnumbered by the enemy for 3 long days, when a battalion led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert McDade, who was sent to relieve Moore, ran into trouble. 2 officers with the authority to lead their men into battle. One used great judgment over the enemy, the other, unfortunately, not so. Oh, speaking of great books on judgment, check out all the books that I've read over the years to learn how I can better serve our clients, both as an advisor and also just understanding the personalities of savers. So why have I taken so much time to read so many books on a variety of topics dealing with money and people and retirement? Because I want to learn from many different experts on a wide variety of topics dealing with, yes, money and, of course, different life experiences. Besides being influenced by many books on the subject of money and people, I've also been influenced by people I've witnessed. That would be, number one, my father, who at a very young age was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and died shortly thereafter. It reminded me that things can change in a heartbeat. Number two, spending a great deal of time with my granddad, who worked for over 45 years with the phone company, and then here we are in 1978, he retired and called it quits. Of course, he had his beloved
mailbox Mailbox money.
Money that he would never outlive in retirement. And then finally, a great influence on me, quite frankly, has simply been all of the 15,000 savers I've met over all of these years, and literally watching hundreds and hundreds of savers' life play out through retirement until, unfortunately, the day they pass away. And you know what I've realized in watching a lot of these folks? They wait too long to spend their money, which is why I wrote the book, Live Well, Die Broke. All of these experiences also led me to create something called the Worry-Free Split IRA concept. Now, what is the Worry-Free Split IRA? Well, first of all, what we're trying to do, and what I've learned over the years, is the idea of having maximum use, maximum flexibility, and maximum control of your money, which most people, most advisors, do not know how to do for their clients. How do I know this? Because I never see a game plan. Folks, you first must have a written game plan in order to set up the stage to invest your money. Many of you are rushing out and investing money in all these products you don't understand without a written game plan. It makes no sense whatsoever. So let me go over again how the split IRA works. First of all, we could have multiple buckets here. And I like to use the terminology of buckets because when you think about it, buckets were meant to be filled up, and eventually you want to take what's in the bucket. And notice that our first bucket, the first area that you're going to move money out of and into your pocket, is the Schwab account. Now, why do we use Charles Schwab? Well, if you want to take a little bit of risk, you can. We have maximum flexibility. We have very low fees right now at 0.8%, and that fee includes all of our work, all of our tax calculations, all of our planning. There are no additional fees above that 0.8% a year. So let's say you put $100,000 with Schwab. We break that up quarterly. We're going to charge you $200 every 3 months to handle everything. Pretty cool. And then my favorite bucket or buckets would be the annuities. Now, why do we use annuities? Well, first of all, again, we're working with savers. Savers who are more concerned about the return of their money than on it. Also, if you want some of that beloved mailbox money, the annuities are the only assets. They are the only investments that can guarantee you won't run out of money, which is the purpose of mailbox money. Since we don't know how long we're going to live, since we can't predict the future, I want my clients to be assured that they're going to have some money coming in for the rest of their lives. So folks, if you don't have anything like this, if you're sitting there and you're just kind of scattered, you don't know who to trust, you're lacking judgment on the end of the advisors who are trying to give you advice, why don't you do this right now? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started button. Let's set up our free 10-minute fiduciary phone call to see if we can help you worry less about money. All right, some really interesting stuff coming up with the Bible, and it deals with this idea of judgment and having an authority figure in your life. I'm Tony Walker. Let me get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. The word for the day is judgment. And of all the descriptors of this word judgment, the term authority is most important. You see, when someone has the authority to lead others, there is a certain confidence and trust that must follow if you wish to be worry-free about your future. I feel that the reason most people worry about money is because they do not have anyone in their life that has the authority to lead them in retirement. The Bible speaks to the issue of worrying about things we cannot control. Check it out. in Matthew 8:9, which describes an encounter between Jesus and a Roman soldier who has a son who is very ill and wants Jesus to heal him. Knowing that Jesus has the authority to pull this off, he reminds Jesus of his own authority as a soldier, where he says, "For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell one to go, and he goes, and another to come, and he comes. I tell my servant to do something, and he does it." You see, friend, if someone has authority over you, whether it be Hal Moore commanding his troops in 1965 in Vietnam, a Roman soldier doing the same thing with his troops in biblical days, or this man Jesus claiming to have authority as the Son of God, at some point in this journey we call life, we must trust someone who is in a position of authority. In my humble opinion, the reason Christians struggle so much with being at peace with today is because we tend to want to try to predict tomorrow. And the world knows this and thus tries to constantly manipulate us and instill fear, and worse yet, try to convince us that they know the future and how best to manage our money. When we stop following the authority of God and instead turn our attention to the world, you can count on this: worry will set in. That's because, as Mr. Munger reminds us, no one can predict the future. And it's not just worrying about tomorrow as stated in Matthew 6:34, but there's the flip side of boasting in our tomorrows found in Proverbs 27:1. Boasting that our 401k is doing great, and if we just keep tossing money into it, all of our troubles will be over. That is, until the market crashes and our 401k starts looking more like a 201k. So you might say, Tony, what's the point? Well, the point is, at some point, we're going to have to trust somebody with not only our money, but our future. And if you ask me, I'd rather trust someone with the authority to move mountains and watch over our very souls. And the only person I know who has that kind of authority to do that is God. And folks, I trust you'll do the same. Well, speaking of finding the truth and judging for yourself who has the ability to work in your best interest when it comes to your retirement, might I suggest that you figure out who that might be by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. All you got to do when you get there is just click on the Let's Get Started, or if you like, you can simply call the number on your screen. Now, when you do that, what we're going to do is set up what we call our free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, where I will talk with you personally to see if we can be of help. Then, if it turns out that we can, I'll be happy to meet with you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So do it now, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or call the number on your screen. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program on the Worry-Free Retirement, but you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.